Hey, yo, salute to all my subscribers. Shout out to everybody else passing through. YouTube, what's good? So I'm back again with another topic for y'all. Y'all know I like to troll social media, and whenever I come across a topic that I feel like is provocative, thought provoking, even if it's a little controversial, I like to bring it to y'all for further processing. So I came across the post the other day, um, and it really did spark a conversation, with the people who were involved in the post. And these types of social media things, you know, revolving around relationships, even though they provoke likes and you know emojis and comments and memes. Sometimes these innocent little posts just seeking entertainment, or whether the person who's posting these things are just bored, just looking to pass some time and just interact with the people who are on their news feed, or on their Instagram or their Twitter. Sometimes there really are deeper uh, meanings and deeper issues within these social media posts, and that's why I troll social media. I'm a social media troll detective, and sometimes I have to point out these little conversations, these entertaining conversations, because I feel like the things that we laugh and joke about on social media is really, for our generation, a cry out for help, for some of the issues that we are dealing with in these adult relationships that we more times than not continue to get wrong. So what's the topic I brought through for you all? Um, this was a question that was posed, I guess, to women mostly, but then kind of was opened up to everyone. The question was, if a man tells you he does not want to have a child, does not want to get pregnant, doesn't want to have anything to do with parenthood for whatever reason, and then you uh, engage with that person anyway, and then you end up pregnant, is that man still wrong for leaving or for not wanting to have anything to do with that child? This is a multi-layered, multifaceted uh, discussion. I say that because, as a parent, as a father, as someone who prides myself on being the best father that I can be and being there for my children, being that role model and that, hero father figure that all children need and should have in their lives. I have little to no respect for any man who, plays a part in bringing a child into the world and then has little or nothing to do with that child. And that's for several reasons. One, because I love kids. Since I was young, always saw myself being a parent, and something that I spent the majority of my youth, early adulthood, and then adulthood looking forward to. Now, having said that, I also despise the stereotype, as a 34-year-old African American male in the United States in 2018. I despise not only the stereotype that all black and Hispanic, otherwise minority kids these days, it's automatically assumed that they come from a single parent household. Not only that stereotype, but also the fact that more often than not, it's usually true. I think that it's always ideal, no matter what the circumstances are outside of, abusive types of relationships, like, physically abusive relationships. I think it's always ideal for children to be in a two-parent household, to be able to come up under the same roof and be raised, by the two parents who created that child. And even if that can't happen because adult relationships go sour, marriages end, um, you know two parents raising a child, I think, is always ideal, anytime it can happen. And fellas, we do need to do better, because a lot of the problems in society that we as men complain about, a lot of it starts in the home. A lot of it starts with children who are being raised and who are coming up um, not properly adjusted, not as well balanced as they should be. And a lot of them have daddy issues. A lot of them, any child, uh, son or daughter, vies for the attention of their father, and that attention has to be sought out, and that void has to be filled if that father is not present. Even if that father is physically there, but just not present in other ways, that that fallout is going to come out, even if not right away, later on in adulthood, as that child grows up, goes out into society, and enters into adult relationships of their own. I think the spawn of that is my generation, and the generation right in front of mine and directly behind mine. The high end of the millennials, the mid to low end of the millennials, Generation X, and then now also this generation coming up now behind mine. Because a lot of us just have, I'm not including myself. I fortunately, one of the few out of most of my friends growing up, did grow up in a 2-parent household, with both of my parents, who are still today together and married. But that's not what I saw. That's not the neighborhood that I grew up in. The vast majority of my friends and people I interacted with just didn't have that. They weren't fortunate enough to have that. Even though I grew up in what's considered the inner city, or, the hood, Paterson, New Jersey, Rahway, New Jersey, you just didn't see that. So, I definitely do hold my fellas to a high standard. We have to do better. There has to come a point in time where the cycle has to be broken. We cannot continue to play these games, with each other. I'm talking, these heterosexual relationships where men and women just engage with each other for the time being and don't put any thought into the future, what the potential ramifications there are down the line if someone ends up pregnant, and now you have to worry about a child being brought into this world. My thought is, do not engage in adult activity, sexual activity, if you are not prepared for what the potential worst case scenario of that could be. And I don't say worst case scenario as in, it's bad to bring a child into the world, or it's not a good thing for someone to get pregnant, because if you're planning to have a family, or even if you're not, but you're with someone that you would not mind raising a child with, then that's fine. It's not a bad thing at all. But I say that because anytime, man or woman, you lay down with another person to engage in sexual activity, whether you're being safe or not, whether you're planning or not planning to have the result of that activity bear a child, anytime you lay down with another person in a heterosexual union, you are potentially laying down with the next mother or father of your child. So when I talk about, in all of, almost all of my other platform topics dealing with relationships, when I talk about how important communication is, I mean that shit. Because too many times we're getting involved with each other, whether we're going in hoping for it to blossom into a relationship, or whether we're going in saying, this is just two consenting adults with no attachments, not looking for any commitment, just having fun for the time being, and not really worrying about later because we're just young and just living our lives, which is fine. Do that. But keep in mind, conversations need to be had, discussions need to take place, because potentially, even in the situations where you're being as safe as possible, anytime you're laying down with another person, you're potentially laying down with the next mother or father of your child. These are things that you cannot stop, no matter how safe you're being. The only 100% way to know that there's not going to be a pregnancy is to not have sex with someone. And if you choose to do it, as fun as it is, it's an adult thing that requires a lot of thought to go into it. You think about all of these situations where men talk about, I hate my BM's crazy, and, this bitch is dragging me through court and child support and blah, blah, blah. And then you have all these women on social media, this deadbeat, he doesn't even take care of his child. He doesn't even pay child support. He's not even around. He doesn't do this or do that. We got to start breaking through some of these barriers, these communication barriers, and really figure out what's going on. Ladies, I understand the strife and the pain, but I gotta dig into y'all too a little. Two consenting adults making the decision to engage in sexual adult activity makes those two adults 100% equally responsible for what the outcome of that is. If the guy that you meet in a club, out and about, online, whatever the case, and you're talking and weeks and months go by and you decide that you're going to engage in adult activity with that guy, and that guy tells you, actually, this is a situation where communication is actually taking place, and that guy informs you explicitly, I'm not trying to have a child, I'm not trying to be a parent, I don't want nothing to do with that, blah, blah, blah. Whether you hear that person and you think you can change that person's mind 6 months from now, 18 months from now, whether you hear that and you just ignore it because you're not thinking about that either, you're just having fun. I 100% believe that if that guy communicates to you that's not where their mentality is, they're not at that point in their lives or in their relationship with you for whatever reason, and you still choose to engage in that type of activity with him, yes, he's still wrong for not taking the responsibility for the child that he helped to create. But you are equally wrong for still allowing those types of interactions to take place because you didn't put enough thought into it. When someone shows you who they are, believe it. It doesn't have to mean that that person's a bad person. But if a guy is just focusing on them or trying to get themselves established to a point where they could potentially one day want to start a family, or they just don't know if they're into you in that way, and it's just they don't want to have a child with you, or if they just are not the type, to have kids, because sometimes we do know that. Some people are just not cut out for parenthood and just don't want to have anything to do with having children. Does that mean we're not going to ever engage in sexual activity? No. But at the same time, don't have sex with a man who is making it clear they're not into starting a family. One, don't have sex with them without being safe about it. And then two, strongly consider not doing it at all. I feel like, and I understand it, because there's so many voids in our generation, whether we grew up, with the shit that we grew up with and having to see, or we're the product of single parent households. And so we're just trying to fill those voids and that attention, those attention cravings that we get. Just be smarter about it. Really take the time to consider all the future Facebook posts of, your child's birthdays and Christmases where this guy is not going to be around because he made it clear that he wanted nothing to do with that type of commitment and responsibility, and you still chose to engage in that person in that way. We really have to start talking about this shit, because when I see and hear women bashing the father of their children, and everybody's high-fiving and sending these emojis and, liking that shit up on news feeds, sometimes people got to stop and think. It's not always the guy. It's not always. A lot of times these dudes really are letting it be known that they don't want that type of situation. And I'm not saying it's purposefully done. I'm not saying that women are out here trapping men. I'm sure that happens in certain situations, but I'm sure the majority of the time it's just women innocently thinking that, they're in a relationship with someone that they're really into, and they think that that person's into them, and they think that when that person finds out they're pregnant, that they're going to have a come to Jesus moment, all of a sudden want to be a family and want to, tie themselves down. If a guy, if a person shows you who they are, believe it. If a guy says, this is not the life that I'm about or want to live, don't think that he's going to change his mind anytime soon. You cannot change any man. You can't. Men are only ever going to become the man that you might want them to be if and when they're ready. And it might not even, you might not be that person that they're ready and willing to do that for. So, I think, and this is a generational problem, I understand that fully. We jump head first into things, and then we worry about the consequences after the consequence happens. And some people have the wherewithal, and some people have the presence of mind to say, you know what, I created this situation for myself. Let me step up and be an adult and deal with the ramifications of this situation. But the majority of people are not like that. The majority of people will run from that situation. And now we have another child, born into a single parent household, another child giving more power to the statistic, another child who's going to be lacking the balance of getting the things that they need from two parents. Because regardless of what experts say, regardless of what single mothers all over the world would like to believe, it takes two parents, preferably the two parents that created that child, brought that child into the world. It takes both of them to raise that child in the most well-rounded way possible. I've said it before, I'll say it again. That does not mean that children who come from single parent households cannot grow to be productive and successful and well-rounded, but there's always going to be something missing. And I don't think just because that you may feel like you're strong enough to raise a child on your own as a single mother does not mean that you should be looking to do that. And when I say looking to do that, I know that women are not asking men necessarily to not have anything to do with these children, but when you don't take the time to vet the person that you're laying down with, and when you don't take the time to think about the potential consequences, when a person communicates to you that they don't want to have anything to do with a child, and you still move forward with that person in those types of activities, then you're playing with fire. And we've seen these children continue to get burned by these types of situations. Look, I'm just a person who sees the landscape of what's going on in this generation and this day and age. And y'all got to remember, the children that we're bringing into the world now, the children that we've been bringing into the world for the last 10 years, these are our future leaders of the free world. We got to do better. We have to do better, not only for ourselves, not only for the sake of our sanity, but for the sake of these innocent children who did not ask to be here. We got to start thinking of what's more important. I don't pretend to know everything. I just know what I know. Let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe. And I see, actually, as a side note, this platform is not necessarily meant to be entertaining. This platform is not meant to have thousands and hundreds of thousands of subscribers, because I don't market the platform that way purposely, because this isn't a place for people to come through, laugh and joke and just talk shit. This platform is for intelligent people who understand the shit that I'm talking about, because they see the shit that's going on in the real world and understand that these issues, the issues that I bring to this platform, are actually real issues that everyday people deal with. So when people come through with their ignorant comments and their ill thought out rebuttals, if I ignore you, if I don't respond or engage, it's because you're missing the whole point of what this platform is about. It's not just about me saying something in a 3 or 4 minute soundbite of a 20 or 30 minute blog, and then you just harp on that and tell me how I'm wrong and why I'm wrong. It's not about that. If you have the answer, then the point is for you to engage in the discussion. I don't have the answers. None of us have the answers, because if we did, this shit wouldn't continue to happen. These issues that I bring to this platform are issues that we have not yet figured out. And that's why I'm talking about it. It's not for you to agree or disagree. It's just for us to have the conversation, so that hopefully we can figure out how to get better at relationships, how to get better at relating and communicating and dealing with each other on an everyday level. Because just like it's you and I, just like it's our peer group in these fucked up relationships, bouncing from one person to the next, creating, 2 and 3 children by different individuals. If we don't figure it out now, in 20 years, that's going to be our children. all of the children that we're creating now, they're all going to come together and they're going to create children with each other and have the same issues that we're having now if we don't figure that shit out. And that's what this platform is here for. And that's the only reason this platform is here for. So whether I have 10 subscribers or 10,000 or 30,000 or 130,000, it's only people who I believe truly understand what the point is. Let me know what y'all think, man. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace and love.